Hello, Vlad with a new story from my channel, amazing story. Roman slammed the car door. Well, if you don't want it the easy way, the hard way will do. He called a tow truck, made sure the car was loaded, and then looked at his watch. There was still over an hour until the negotiations. He wouldn't call a taxi, he'd go for a walk. He hadn't walked in ages. The weather was warm, and it felt like the first real day of spring. Roman walked leisurely and then saw the gates to the city market. Memories came flooding back. He'd spent practically his entire childhood at the market, and the things he and the boys had gotten up to there. They'd stolen, sold, and cheated, of course, but not because they were criminals, but because they were small-timers and brainless. Roma looked at his watch again and headed toward the market. Well, at least he could walk for 20 minutes and see what the market was like these days. As a child, Romka lived with his grandmother. His parents were always busy. Always at work, on business trips, and at family meetings. It was decided to keep him here in this small town until he became independent. He loved his grandmother, although he almost never listened to her. Now he fondly recalled how his grandmother would search for him in alleyways, nettles clutched in her hand. She and the boys would sit on the roof of some barn, covering their mouths to keep from laughing. And his grandmother, of course, wasn't the only one looking for him. It was just that all the mothers and grandmothers would meet, agree on which street to check, and then go their separate ways. The mother whose parent found them first would chase them home with a stick. That time, they hid well. No one was supposed to find them. And if Coco hadn't fallen from the roof, they wouldn't have been found. They had long planned to spend the night in the cemetery to figure out who was a real coward and who wasn't so much. The roof was high. Kolka took a good hit, and then screamed so loudly that they all tumbled down. Roma's grandmother rushed to Kolka's aid. "Oh, my, he's sore, he's all broken." She saw Roma, gave him a sound slap on the back of the head, and said, "Right, run for Kolka's mom." She went to the flower shop and turned to another boy. "And you, like a bullet, run to the hospital, let them run here." The hospital was around the corner. Romka looked after his friend with envy, imagining how he would explain to Aunt Nastia what had happened to his Kolka. Aunt Nastia immediately gave Romka another slap on the back of the head, and then, screaming as if someone had already died, rushed to the garages. Kolka was taken first to his hospital, and then transferred to the big city. Grandma only sighed. Oh, that day she kept saying that a misfortune would happen. Romka was surprised. "What did she say, Grandma?" "Well, what did she say?" And one day she told him, "There are, grandson, many omens and many different signs that indicate impending misfortune. Only not everyone can recognize them." Quote. Roma didn't even understand anything then, but now he chuckled. Oh, if only he could use such signs and their knowledge, because there were major negotiations ahead, and something was uneasy in his soul. Everything seemed fine, everything seemed to be fine, but something was gnawing at him. He deliberately opened a head office in this city, although it would have been much more convenient to open it in a big city, where his largest enterprise was located. But Roma was drawn here. On the day when they buried his grandmother, he told his father, "I'm going to live here." His father looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean? Your business is there, and you're going to live here?" Quote, "Yes, I'll take up the development of the cities around. Well, so that they're like the sun." Father just shook his head. He was a scientist. Money wasn't important to him. But logic, yes, in his opinion, logic should be in everything. Roman saw people laughing at the entrance to the indoor market. Something interesting was happening there, and he headed there. Of course, he was a successful businessman and all that, but now in his soul he was a boy. A girl in a colorful headscarf was standing at the entrance. She wasn't a gypsy, but she was telling fortunes, or rather, predicting. Well, and, of course, for money. Come on over, whoever has an event coming up, I'll tell you, I'll predict. A man approached her. Well, predict, he gave her some money, and the girl started talking passionately. Oh, not everything is good with you with women, not everything. The man blushed. Well, don't yell like that. What do you say? I'm going on a date tomorrow. The girl leaned towards him. You don't eat anything the night before. Then maybe something will work out. The man looked at her with fear, but nodded and walked away. The man was quite heavy, but Roma didn't understand what food had to do with it. Some kind of charlatan. Then the girl made everyone laugh when she predicted bad luck in the man's fishing. Don't go fishing. You won't catch any fish, but you'll get a headache. And your wife will hit you with a rolling pin, 100%. Or maybe even worse than. Although Roma understood that she was no fortune teller, he looked at her with pleasure. There was a certain lightness about her. The people slowly dispersed, chuckling, and Roma remained. When no one but him remained, the girl looked at him in surprise. Well, don't tell me you're also after a fortune. No, I don't really believe in fortunes, but I want to ask, can I? Well, I can. And why can't that man eat before a date? The girl burst out laughing. Because he reeked of garlic. And while he was standing there, something came out of him 3 times. What kind of woman would take someone like that? Romka burst out laughing too. And what about this guy, is he going fishing? He's got a fish bucket completely filled with booze. What kind of fisherman is he? She drinks, it's clear she won't get home in time, so she'll get it. Judging by the way he decided to let loose, he likes to drink, and his wife doesn't let him. Conclusion: Meager's wife won't give him any slack. What logic? Listen, what's your name? Vika. Vika, be my talisman during the negotiations. I'll pay. What should I do? Nothing special. Just give me a little confidence. The girl thought for a moment, then nodded. It won't be long. A couple of hours. They walked down the street and talked. And why are you walking to the negotiations? You're supposed to be a businessman, then. Exactly, that's him. The car broke down, I had to give it to the car doctors. And the weather was just whispering. I see. Yes. Today is real spring. Tell me, Vika, are you this? The girl laughed. No, I'm not a fortune teller or a gypsy. I always wanted to be an artist, but I'm studying for a completely different profession. And this grandmother of mine is sick. She is very close and my only loved one, and the treatment is very expensive. People are willing to part with money when they are having fun. Roma breathed a sigh of relief. The girl was, of course, about 10 years younger than him, but he liked her madly. He couldn't even explain why exactly. But not even in the same way that people fall for beautiful girls. In general, he felt very comfortable with her. And when I saw you, I immediately remembered my grandmother. She always said, if you can understand omens and all sorts of signs, then you can know almost everything in the world in advance. And now he calmed down. It's all nonsense. Quote. Vika looked at him seriously. Hey, you're lucky my grandmother can't hear you. I wish you two would get into an argument. Well, who knows, maybe your grandmother and I will come to some kind of agreement. That's unlikely. You and my grandmother will definitely never meet. Roma looked at her carefully, but didn't argue. They came. The girl raised her head and looked at him. Come on, you work here? Roma didn't go into details, but simply nodded. Listen, I still have to defend my thesis, and I often walk past this building. It's so cool. As soon as I get my diploma, I'll come here. I hope they take me, and I'll definitely get to the top floor. Roma hid his smile. You'll be there right now. Vika looked at him fearfully. Oh, what should I do? How should I behave so as not to set you up? Maybe I shouldn't go? Just act naturally. Sit with a smart look. Are you a mascot or what? They approached the sliding doors. Vika grabbed his hand. Okay, wait, let me get some air. Roma laughed. You think he's not inside? As soon as they entered, a girl in a dazzling black suit and white blouse rushed towards them. Roman Alexeyevich, your guests have already arrived. They are waiting for you in the meeting room. Roman nodded and moved towards the elevator, but Vika, like an anchor, stopped him. What happened? The girl simply didn't hear him. She looked admiringly at the woman who was walking to her seat, swaying her hips in a dazzling black suit. Vika! She flinched. Oh yeah, I'm quite the capital here. They went up to the top floor. Roma turned into his office for some papers. Vika froze in the middle of the office. This is the place where the most important person is. Oh my God, do you know him? Have you met him? Roma nodded, smiling. I see him every day. I'm already sick of him. Vika looked at Roman with horror, and then whispered. Are you crazy? Roma grabbed her hand. That's it, let's go. Remember the smart face. They came in and said hello. Victoria, my assistant. Well, shall we begin? The negotiations lasted for a good hour. Roma couldn't figure out what he didn't like. But everything seemed to be going smoothly, and in fact, that's probably exactly what he didn't like, the fact that everything was going too smoothly. Vika already understood that he was far from an ordinary employee, and did her best to feign interest and intelligence. And then, the name of the company, written in the papers on signing. And she wrote a thesis on this company. Or rather, because it went bankrupt 2 years ago. Wait. But if it went bankrupt, if it doesn't exist, how could it appear in the papers? Roma extended his hand, but Vika quietly said, wait. Roma looked at her in surprise. The girl seemed to have gotten carried away. Vika carefully took out the right piece of paper and ran her eyes over it. Quote, Excuse me, this company is listed as one of your prosperous firms. The man who was the main one among the guests nodded. There are a few more. Vika looked at Roman. He looked at her perplexedly. Quote, Well, what's the matter? Well, the thing is, this company no longer exists. Vika turned to Roma and began to speak. And he, while the girl was explaining, was looking through the papers. Quote, Wait, you showed me all the graphs, the certified documentation. The guests were in a hurry. Apparently, there was some kind of a hitch. We'll sort it all out and call you back. Roma looked at Vika in confusion after they disappeared. What do you call this? I have a feeling someone bribed my security service. Yours? Vika felt sick. Yours? What are you? Who are you? That Korolyov? That one? I have no idea if it's the same one or not. I'm just Korolyov. Vika, I beg you, come back. Oh, come on, don't be such a stranger. You didn't come here to get a job. We're just acquaintances. The girl shook her head and smiled. It's hard to stay with yourself here. Roma stood up. Let's go. He grabbed her hand, dragged her past the dumbfounded girls at the reception and ran out into the street. He turned to her. Actually, I'm hungry. Let's go to a cafe. Vika shook her head. Grandma's home alone. I try not to leave her for too long. Well, then, let's go to your place. Now we'll buy everything, and Roma again pulled her by the hand, this time towards the store. He knew he would sort it all out later. He would have plenty of time. But now only one thought was on his mind. Don't let go of Vika's hand, otherwise it would immediately disappear and get lost. 3 years had passed. Roman was sitting in the living room across from Anna Mikhailovna. Today, like yesterday, they had another argument. Roma, well, you're denying the obvious, right? There is nothing obvious, Anna Mikhailovna. Well, at least so far I haven't seen anything like that in my entire life. But I've seen a lot. And anyway, a bird was knocking on the window today. So what? Some good news. Well, we don't expect bad news. You don't understand, good news. Grandma pursed her lips. Vika entered the room. She looked kind of confused. Roma jumped up. Vika, I have good news for you. Your office is ready. Now we'll be in adjoining offices, just like you once dreamed of. Vika sat down. It won't work. She looked strange. Roman was scared. Vic, what happened, Vic? She slowly looked up at him. You'll be a dad soon. What started here? Roma wanted to faint, then came to his senses, rushed to Vika, then to Anna Mikhailovna. It works, the predictions work, Anna Mikhailovna. He twirled his wife in his arms, then her grandmother, then jumped out onto the balcony, and then rushed off somewhere else. Vika looked at her grandmother with a smile. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Did you convince him? Of course. She said that something incredible was waiting for him today, that a bird was beating against the window. Vika raised an eyebrow. Was it really beating against the window? Anna Mikhailovna has lost her desire. I saw your test this morning. And the birds are smart these days. If you like this story, please support me with a thumbs up. It's just a simple gesture, but it means a lot to me. All the best.